Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and it's time for another journey across the star map, and we'll be leaving the highly militarized system of Killian and heading over to Ellis. For those of you with interest in the racing aspect of Star Citizen, and you want to be maybe some famous racer jock, then you're going to want to head on over to Ellis, as it's the home of the Murray Cup. Now, this racing-centric system draws in a lot of tourism from people not only wanting to catch a race while they're here, but also kind of seems, just to bring people in that want to see the sites where famous events have played out in the past. Ellis has also got a lot more going for it than speed, though, as it has a really unique system with like a wide variety of life forms that have just naturally evolved here that are really unlike anything else that we've really found in exploration to this point. Now, this system orbits around a yellow star with a wide green band, which has kind of aided in the development of those species that are living here. Ellis is a highly developed system with an economy that not only lives on the racing tourism, but also exports a lot of raw ore and seafood to the surrounding systems. It is a bit surprising that the economy isn't revolving around overclocking services and the production of high-quality components, but I see a few potential careers here. If you can bring the parts in through transport and then sell them to those that are requiring those overpowered goods, there's certainly a need. Or if you're looking to be a ship tweaker, someone who's able to overclock effectively, a little base of operations set up here could net you a good profit in the end. Mining in a system with a lot of ore exportation, it is a very promising career as well. And miners in the system consider Ellis 1 to be the ultimate tease. The planet's really been found to have a ridiculous amount of raw minerals. However, the planet orbits so closely to the star that it's frequently hit with solar flares, and there isn't a technology currently available to shield yourself from the heat, radiation, or the magma surface. Now, I see this as opportunity, though. It's a bunch of untapped resources there. So maybe if you have an endeavor or a science lab, potentially you could develop the technology that allows you to conduct successful missions here. Maybe for you explorers, if you find some alien technology that helps to protect you, you could then get in there. Either way, though, if you develop or find the technology that allows for mining here, you could either make a fortune through just doing the mining and exportation yourself, or by selling that technology to others. Keep in mind, though, failure comes with consequences and often results in death, like we've seen with dozens of pilots who have already figured that out. Ellis 2 is a smog planet, which is largely uninteresting, with the exception of a very large storm system that typically kicks up. That's a nice thing to look at from orbit, and people like to stop by and say, oh yeah, that's pretty. Entering into the inhabitable band, we get to Ellis 3, otherwise known as Green, called that because it's on the edge of the green band, and it's most recently terraformed planet in the system. Now, this place was constructed with one thing in mind, and that was generating revenue through tourism. It's a resort world catered to those that are coming into Ellis to see the Murray Cup. And there's only one landing zone on this planet to help protect the planet's extensive underwater reefs. But when you land, you can expect to see sprawling resorts and luxury apartment buildings and condo towers. It's funny, though, because the world was terraformed, so there isn't actually any marine life according to the lore. Though most of the reefs are made out of living things, at least to my knowledge at this point, so that's kind of an odd little thing there. So it'll be interesting to see if we get more information on that. Either way, attempts to kind of populate the oceans with other species haven't really gone very well. The fourth planet here is Ellis 4, or Campos, and Campos is the highest populated planet in the system, and big surprise, the economy here is directly tied to the Murray Cup. This is the planet that has all the sea life that we talked about earlier. They survive in these high-gravity oceans. And the planet's name is actually from one of the large sea creatures that lives in the ocean. However, it's not edible, or at least it isn't really being exported, which makes me think it's not edible. What we do see out of these creatures, though, are a lot of flat animals, probably from the gravity or density of the oceans, which have kind of spurred up a nickname for the planet known as Seahorse. And initially, I lost my train of thought there. Oh, whatever. Finally, Ellis 5 is the last one that's actually in the habitable band. It's known as Noble, and it's the third populated planet. And it's a forest world with not a whole lot worth discussing here because the forests are very protected by corporate law. And the planet is similar to some of the scenery is similar to Earth. So it does draw some of those outdoorsy type tourists that are looking to check out the landscape. It's a nice side trip for those that are interested in the races. And there are some worlds outside of the green band that are currently being explored for potential terraforming. Ellis 6 is a rocky world that the UEE is currently researching because they hope to find a way to establish a successful biosphere here. There's this like science station that's in orbit with a bunch of scientists who are buying expensive goods to help pass the time. So those of you that are interested in transport, lonely and bored scientists are anxious to buy your goods here. Pirates, there's going to be expensive goods here. Escorts and bounty hunters, there's probably going to be pirates here. Hint, hint, there's options. Like we've seen before, Ellis 7 is another planet with a corrosive atmosphere, and 8 is the smallest world in the system that's got a thin atmosphere and not much else worth noting. There are a couple of gas giants here, with the first being known as Walleye. And Walleye is the larger of the two gas giants and has become this kind of commercial hub for gathering fuels. Most of the racers are going to stop by here to top off their tanks, and we often end up seeing this line of freighters and combat ships waiting their turn to fuel up. There's also rest stops of sorts that are in orbit in this area for people that are just needing a break. And I could see these being, having high success rates for smugglers that want to bring in drugs, or, depending on the lineup of ships, you could potentially have a huge score from a piracy organization really working well in tandem. Check the ships that are in line, though, because there could be a javelin or something else massive just waiting around. Bombora is the 10th planet and is a very angry planet. The atmosphere has a ton of storms, and fuel scooping here is just said to be incredibly dangerous, which is why it's highly encouraged not to do so. However, for those of you that are impatient, you can technically fill up here if you're not wanting to wait in the lines that are associated with Walleye. It could mean your life, though. Miners that are frustrated by the inner worlds might find an opportunity in the outer worlds. Ellis 11 was a planet that was destroyed when its moon ended up colliding with the planet. Boom, which resulted in a pretty massive and extremely dense debris field. That being said, it's well known to be a host of rich mineral fields that can be extracted, and they've even kind of benefited from gravity starting that process. While it may be a dangerous place, a careful miner could end up turning a healthy profit here. Ellis 12 is known as Judeca and is basically an ice ball where there is some mining and a little research that takes place, but not a whole lot. And I'm not sure if the mining is limited based on the resources or just because it's an inhospitable environment, but if you're already out by 11 doing some mining, you may as well swing by and check out 12 to see if it's worth your time. And finally, the last planet is known as Pinecone because it's got this really odd shattered looking surface. Pinecone was it has a ton of minerals ready for mining, and it has become just this really incredibly valuable place for gaining ore and transporting those goods back to Earth, but in reality, you could take them anywhere that's buying what you're selling at a high price. The outer edge of this system is going to be a very, very popular place for miners. This system ends up having 5 jump points, just bit my lip, taking you to Tyrannus, Min, Magnus, Nexus, and Killian, which makes this a really great hub of activity for transportation, especially with the rest stops, the resources, and the gas giants. Now, I mentioned in the video that we did on Killian that there would be some nice places for piracy and where it could succeed, and a group could find some tempting targets like miners or transports here in the Ellis system. I also think for those very same reasons, escorting roles are going to be very popular here since we don't see a whole lot mentioned about security in this sector. It's going to be a really, really popular system in-game, so just wait and see. Otherwise, I think you can probably see it yourself. So that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this overview of the Ellis system. Stay tuned for another system at some point here soon. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and take care.